Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to Walking Through Glass, the podcast, with your host, Dr. Dina C. Brown. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Happy Thursday. You know what I like to call Transformation Thursday. And, what a week it has been as we've talked about courage this week and myself really delving deeper and pulling back some layers and looking at some programming that I need to shift, in order to live my best life. And these are courageous shifts that we actually need to make, so that I actually need to make. And I'm here in Las Vegas with my son, who's attending a football combine to support his dreams and passion to play college football. And again, he wants to play NFL football. And so, again, I believe that that's one of it. He's called to do that. He has some unique talents and gifts. And I'm here to support him with that. And in being the support that he needs, this takes some courage on my part. And I just think about when we left on Wednesday. And the theme for today is actually having the courage to fight. Having the courage to fight for the things that you want, you desire, that you need, that you dream about. Having the courage to continue to push when everything seems to be pushing back. And that courage to fight is something that is difficult, because the hardest thing that many of us face is the start, is to just get started. But once we start, then we could build momentum. And if anything blocks us and it stalls us, then again, the courage to start again is even more challenging. And now it's exponentially challenging because you already had something that pushed back. And so when I think about the courage to fight, that courage to fight not only your inner critic, your inner man, but also external forces and situations and circumstances that push back at you. But today I wanted to speak to a truth that I have to deal with, and the courage to fight. Not necessarily something that's external, but something that's internal, and it's actually programming. That internal programming. What I mean by programming is that all the lessons that we learned. See, we are part of our situations and circumstances, the lives that we live today, the way that we think about ourselves, the way that we act upon things. All of that is part and partial to all of the experiences that we encountered along the way. And I'm talking about from birth to now. And that's what I call programming. That's what the programming is. And if you're not conscious of certain things that have been programmed into your psyche, into your subconscious, that then becomes conscious, then you're stuck sometimes wondering, why do I feel this way? And if you look at extremely highly successful people, and people especially of extreme wealth and what we call legacy wealth, is that you wonder, we could call it white privilege or wealth privilege, or we can call it whatever you want to, but let's look at their programming. So from very early on, they weren't told no often. Now that could lead to some other challenges, but the fact that the world has been their oyster, and so the opportunities that they were presented, they felt that, of course I belong here in this space. Of course this is my opportunity. Of course this should be something that I actually am entitled to. And so we fuss about these people being entitled, but do we realize that during this particular point that their programming has actually embedded in them a psychology of success is what I'll call it. So there's a psychology of success, and it's part and parcel to our programming. So for those of us that may have experienced certain types of programming growing up, we have to make that conscious so that we don't repeat any types of programming that didn't have a positive impact on us, okay? So giving you that information to merge you back into my yesterday. And prior to getting ready to leave, to come to Las Vegas, I had a speaking event in the morning, and it was very interesting. Not what I expected, but definitely maybe what I needed. And it's just been so many different things going on in my space right now that I'm turning off a lot of energy to pour back into myself. And it's so noticeable that people say, usually you're very open, your energy is just pouring out, and it's like, so, we can grab onto it. But right now you feel very closed. And I said, I am. I said, because right now everything I have, I need for me. So step one in that courage to fight is to know when you have to love on yourself, to become and to up-level yourself and to give yourself what you need. So that's the first thing that you have to understand, is notice when there's an ebb, and you need to shift your flow to flow into yourself. And that takes courage to fight for you. Because again, I have some dreams, I have some aspirations, I have some things I need to put into play, and I need to put those things in play right now. And initially, when you think about the largesse of it, you get very afraid. And my first reaction was to get very afraid instead of to get very purposeful. So I'm taking this time too, while I'm here in this next couple of days, to just really pour back into myself and get very purposeful about what I have to come. I'm telling you, that mindset space is so powerful, and I can't wait to share with you not only the mindset cleanse, but my special study on As a Man Thinketh, that particular course, as we do the novel study, because I'm telling you, it's a game changer. It's been a game changer for me. It'll be a game changer for you. But I think about my parental programming. And when I was growing up, there's some things that happened that I'm still processing through. You think you're over it, but you're not. Things that were said, the way that I was treated, some unrealistic expectations, things that broke my spirit at times, but also ignited a fire in me and a purposefulness in me to always be resilient and to push through. So I recall one particular incident where I needed to go to register for college. I'm a senior at this particular point, and I was accepted in San Diego State, and I needed to go down to orientation. And I was, waiting for my mom to take me. I got up that morning, was excited, and I didn't talk to her much the day before because I didn't know what the mood would be. There was a lot of stuff, that was always happening and within our relationship. And I just remember getting up that morning going, okay, Mom, got to be there by 9 o'clock. Are we going? And I remember looking at me and saying, I'm not taking you anywhere. I don't like your attitude. You didn't do such and such. And she went over this litany of things that she told me that I didn't do, or that she didn't like, or that she was upset about with me. So therefore, she wasn't going to take me to my orientation. That was a mandatory orientation. And as I stood there in disbelief and utter panic, trying to figure out, oh my gosh, what am I going to do now? Wanting to cry, knowing that the tears would be useless. Wanting to just rage, but having nowhere to have an outlet that was going to be productive. I just remember feeling so defeated at that point and telling myself, I'm never going to be in a position where I'm going to have to need somebody. I'm never going to be put in this position where I'm counting on somebody and they can't be there. And so I fast forward to my life, is that I've always felt that I just got to do it. If I don't do it, then it's not really going to get done. I don't have anybody I can really count on who's really going to be there through thick and thin, in times of need, in times of trials, in times of turmoil. And so I've never felt that. People could be there, people can say that, but I never really, felt that. And that one particular incident, I called one of my best friends who was like my sister, and I told her, and I'm just like falling apart, and she says, don't worry, I'm going to take the day off of work. And she, had a new baby who had some challenges and a car that was barely going to make it, but she's like, I'll get you there. I'll get you there. And she took me. But I just remember the hurt. And like, my mom's not going to take me, and she just pretty much went back to her bedroom, closed the door, and did whatever that day. And that wasn't the first time. I remember when my class rang showed up, and we ordered it, and it was all these great things, and I was so excited about it. And so when they finally were delivering it, and it was cash on delivery, and she's like, I'm not paying for that. You can send it back. You think you're everything. You think you're this. You think you're that. You figure it out. And I was floored again. So in my programming, I've had a history of letdowns. And when I didn't do something that someone wanted me to do, or that they were displeased with me, I've had that history where they shut off, shut down, or when I'm in a crisis moment, in a crux moment, they leave me stuck. So yesterday, we were getting ready to go, and like I said, it's been days I have not felt like the best version of myself, and so whatever's going on, I'm just trying to work through it. And I stood there with Xavier, and I know he's excited about this opportunity. He's excited about, coming to this combine. He's excited about, all the possibilities, and I'm excited for him. And I'm looking at my little baby, who's now a big boy, and I'm like, is your stuff packed? Is your bag ready? And I'm looking at all the things in the kitchen he didn't clean. I'm just, I'm irritated, and I've talked to him so many times about things I needed him to do. He says, we're getting ready to go. I'm like, do you have your suit? Where's your shoes? You've got to, presentation's important. And I'm talking to him about really, being on brand and all of these other types of things. And so then I look at him, and he's just like, oh, I didn't have it. And I'm so frustrated. And then I said to him, I'm looking at him, and he's just like, I'm almost killing this excitable moment that we're getting ready to get on a journey and drive. And it's just an exciting time for him. And I'm watching and listening to myself almost like an out-of-body experience. Say things to him that I heard said to me. And I'm like, why am I even going and driving and sacrificing and putting myself out there? And you don't even care about the stuff that you need to care about. And I'm ranting, and I'm looking at him, and I'm looking at his spirit just starting to crush and flow. And I'm just telling myself, stop, shut up, stop. Don't do this to him. Don't do this. And at that moment, I had to have the courage to fight the programming, to fight all of those negative, self-doubting, limiting beliefs that had been embedded into my subconscious that was making it self-conscious. And I had to have the courage to say, Tina, this is not what you want. It's not about being right. It's about the relationship. It's about making sure that he's in the right frame of mind and he has everything that he needs to go there and be a beast on the field and showcase and fight for his dreams, and you as a supporter, an unconditional supporter. And so I'm telling him, again, it wasn't like what I was saying was wrong. It was the manner in which I was doing it. And as I can see him starting to just look like he was in a state of panic, like, what in the world was going on here? Because I'm just like, why am I constantly caring more than you care? And he's just kind of like, that's not true, and, all these other things. And I'm like, go get your shoes, go get your stuff, let's just go. Because at that point, he was wondering, oh my God, is my mom going to take me? Am I going to be stuck? Am I not going to make it? I remember being that little girl, almost the same age as he is now, standing there with my mom, telling me how she wasn't going to be there. And so I had to fight that programming. I had to fight this. I will not do this to my child. I will not ever give him the impression that I'm not going to have his back 100%, and I'm not going to love him unconditionally, or I'm going to set him up and have his hopes just crushed in the midst of something that's so important, which is his dreams. So I said, Dina, get over yourself, be quiet. I said, Xavier, just get your stuff. Come on, let's go. Let's just go. Let's just get in the car. But I didn't want to leave it there because I didn't want to leave anything any residual pieces to the moment on him. So I did go back and address him. I said, let me tell you why I'm frustrated. You see, here's part 2 of the programming. Address it, don't ignore it. Address it, don't ignore it. And I had to tell him, this is why it's so important, because I'm so passionate about you being your best, showing up at your best. So I just kind of went through what it really means and the idea of the branding and his image and who he is, and wanting him to always make sure that he feels encouraged and feeling proud of who he is and how he shows up. And so what started out to be a very rocky piece became a very powerful conversation that we had on our drive. And so as I went back and I spoke to him and I said, okay, what happens here? And we were talking about examples. And then I had a new understanding. So part of 3 of that is first, having the courage to fight the programming. Okay, acknowledging that's an issue. 2, becoming, aware and addressing it. That's part 2. And then part 3 of that whole piece is then opening up your mind to the new ideas. So as we were talking, I learned so much more, and I was so much more proud of him. And so one thing we were talking about your clothes and how you dress and wearing a suit and how you look and how you showcase yourself. And so we were using examples of, okay, what happens if you're in a space and everybody's dressed up and you're not? How are you going to feel? Then it's time to go on the field. Is your ego touched? He said, Mom, I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear. He said, my answer is not what you probably want to hear. I said, no, I want to hear your truth. I want to hear your truth. And that helps me understand his programming and where I need to go and do that. And here's what he said to me, which is so powerful. So this Transformation Thursday, your daily dose of vitamin Dr. D is big medicine. He said, Mom, if I go in a room and people are dressed a certain way and I'm not dressed the way that they want to be dressed, he said, I'm okay with that. He said, that doesn't mean that they're better than me. It doesn't mean that they can be better than me on the field, that they're going to dominate me, because I know my skill. I'm very confident about how I could perform. He said, all it means is that they might have a better sense of style and fashion than I do. He said, that's all I see. I said, oh, okay. And I said, great. And so I felt not only just proud, but I felt that at that moment in time, it was so meaningful for me, because it meant that I was doing a great job of not passing on all my programmed neuroses to my child, which has always been something that I was very, very conscious of and wanted to avoid. So the lesson in all of this, in the fighting spot, is that have the courage to fight, have the courage to acknowledge, have the courage to be aware and deal through and process through the moment, and then have the courage to be open to a new understanding that's going to make sure that you can truly live your very best life today. And I continually to be impressed and inspired by my offspring, who teaches me something new every day. And I tell everybody that he's the biggest blessing. He's my greatest achievement. But more importantly than that, as we were driving down the road, and I was coaching him on always being ready, have something to say. Here's some sample questions. Have a thought in your mind. Be able to pivot your comments. Kind of begin to make your signature talk. Begin to develop these skill sets, so that anytime, if you're ready, you don't have to get ready. And so they did an impromptu national little commercial that was there. And guess what? The guy's asking him questions, and he's killing it. But as we were driving, and I said, be ready at the drop of a dime. So after we talked, and I was coaching him how to answer questions, how to clarify his point so that he's memorable, and that they can see that not only can he dominate on the field, but he could also dominate off the field, and that he's a complete package. And so as I was testing him periodically on our 3-hour ride, he was nailing it every single time. So he listens to me too, and I learn from him. And that has been one of the most powerful transformational moments of this experience. And as he's resting, because this weekend, again, like I said, it's not kind of what I expected, but it is what it is that when he goes on the field tonight, well rested, well focused, I know that he's confident and that he's competitive. And what he said is that he's so capable to be able to go out there and give 150% and make sure that he gets a spot to play at one of those pro team events that's coming up that they have around the nation. So with that, your daily dose of vitamin Dr. D is truly all about courage, but it's really about the courage to fight. Fight for what you want, fight for what you believe in, fight the programming that tells you that you couldn't, and definitely fight, if you're a parent, to not inflict the same toxic situations and mindsets onto your children. And when you do that, not only are you walking through the glass, with kick butt stilettos, but you're reducing the cuts and you're healing the wounds. So that's what I have for you today. Thank you for listening, and continue to live your life on purpose with purpose. Have a great day.